Hey, so I just want to do a quick review here of sort of my first 3 hours with Space Haven. It's a fairly new game that it's come onto Steam. It's still in early access. Honestly, it's very promising. A very stable game. Haven't had any crashes yet, which sometimes for early access is saying something. So I just figured I'd kind of go into it and show everybody the depth of the gameplay and just what I'm really enjoying so far. And it's got a very unique soundtrack, I have to say. Something which I noticed right away when I got into it. So what I'm actually going to do is probably just mute that because it actually it's nice, but it sets me off just a little bit. So I actually have a few save games here, so I'm just going to go with the latest. So one of the interesting things that I found with this game is, although visually it's not terribly appealing to me. I'm actually coming more from sort of a nano style of game, but you actually get over it. You know, it's one of those things that you realize there's so much depth to the game. There are so many panels you can explore. There's so much to do that you actually don't care what it looks like anymore. Which, I mean, call me naive if you will, but this is something that it takes a lot to get over, and that's just because of the depth of the game. There's just so much to do. So basically, my explorers here, what we've kind of done is, I think we started out in a star system a couple jumps away. So here's just the map of the local region, and then you can see there are hyperspace lines that you can take to other sectors. And if you just zoom out, you can get an idea of how large the game is. So very promising. And within each of these systems, there's probably about maybe 10 different locations that somebody could actually go to and explore. So I'm just going to come back to where I am here. Actually, now that I think about it, more than 10 locations actually, and I'm assuming that some of these systems are actually different sizes as well. So that's just one of the things you can do. You can see this, and then I've got a crew of 4 right now, and I'm desperately trying to find out how to get more crew members because Bladen and Lawrence, Sasha, and however the heck you pronounce this person's name, really great crew members, but the larger your ship, the more painful it becomes to get anything done because you really do need the crew, right? You've got a bunch of derelict ships. I mean, here's an example. I can just double click here. This one I've explored previously, and derelict ships are a great opportunity for you to get salvage, but also transfer resources that are available. So in this case, I can check out the transfer queue, and I've actually transferred some valuable materials, but here fuel rods is sort of the one of the most important resources in the game, along with hyper fuel. Without these, you're really not going to be going anywhere, although you can build solar panels. You also need water, stuff like that. But the point is that you can move these particular resources easily, but to do salvage work and to get all the scrap that you can then use to recycle really takes a lot of time, and without the crew members who are working on kind of a 9 to 5 schedule, it becomes a little bit difficult. So actually, let's go to that just for a second here. Just want to introduce you to the crew management. I mean, again, this is you've got levels upon levels here. So every single crew member has sort of their skill set that they have. And you can see here, for example, operations, Bladen has a skill level of 2, and we're going to give him a normal priority. But for example, if I want him to do logistics, moving things around, he has a skill level of 1 doing that, so he's just average, but I'm giving him a high priority for that. Maintenance, construction, you can see these are fairly low just because the guy is not really skilled at it. Whereas here you can see, for example, that Sasha and Lawrence have skill level 2 on these particular skills, and it's slightly higher priority. So you just try and balance things out a little bit. I think I left everything pretty much default for this because there's only 4 crew members anyway. I can imagine that if you had, say for example, someone who's medically trained, you would want to go in and have them take care of the medical more than other people. And I can see here actually Sasha, for example, Sasha has a botany, which means that you can grow your own food, and it's pretty important in space to be able to feed yourself. So this is a high priority for Sasha, and I have to say the AI is good. I mean, it makes sense what they do, and they respond to changes that you might make in here, and it's really well thought out, and I'm pretty impressed. So then if you actually want to go, you can check out their schedule. I haven't adjusted this, but what you can do is you can sort of stagger people's schedules a little bit so that you could have rotating shifts, which would be more efficient. But I haven't really, like I said, this game, the way this game's laid out, it's really casual. If you want to play this game casual, you enjoy a bit of grind, knock yourself out. This is not a game that's going to rush you. If you see incoming pirates, I mean, it's one of those things. You get a notification up here and basically says, oh, look, you've got 10 hours before a pirate ship comes in. And before you go into a solar system, you know what's there, generally speaking. So as long as you don't make a bunch of enemies up front and you don't have to land in systems due to resource constraints where you absolutely have to have, let's say, ice and mine that, or get some fuel rods, and there happens to be someone that you have to take on. Other than that, you can cruise if you want. It's really up to the player entirely. It does affect your progression a bit because, as I was saying, I've got 4 crew members. I'm desperate for more, and apparently one of the best ways to do that is to go and loot derelict ships. So the derelict ships, though, the challenge is that every time you find one of these things, it's dark. It's got the fog of war on here, and you can't actually see anything. So you have to send them in. The boarding party has to go and explore every single room, every single compartment, and there can be creatures in there, little aliens that you have to knock out. So you have to arm your crew, and then you can arm them with different weapons. So like I said, it's pretty cool because you've got sort of a standard base building game, and then you've got away teams that you send out. You equip them, you control them. And that's the thing too. They don't see when they're in the ship. You don't actually have direct control over them, which is fine. But what you can do is you can actually click this draft button, and then you're actually taking manual control. And so by doing that, you take manual control over a particular crew member, and you go here to the shuttle, and you can draft the shuttle as well. And then I would tell everybody, get on the shuttle, go here, dock, and then let's send the boarding party. But the point is, though, that when you're going around and you're trying to loot a derelict ship, for example, you don't know what's on it, and it's a bit of a dangerous activity, so you have to be armed and ready for it. But you're really just hoping that you find, I believe it's some kind of a crew pod. I believe it's something like this, something like a hypersleep chamber, and that's where you can get other crew members. So to travel around, though, in the star map, you need a few things. You're going to need your fuel rods, you're going to need a constant supply of water, you're going to need food, which you can grow in hydroponics bays here, which is absolutely fantastic. But the one thing about your ship is it's not entirely self-sufficient. There's always this requirement to get 1 or 2 resources from traveling around, which is your incentive to move. So your growth of the ship and your ability to sort of do things faster and better, you control that speed through the game. But I mean, so far I've been a bit of a chicken shit. I've really wanted to build out slowly, and I've sort of started with a recycler, and then I worked out, expanding. Finally, you get your hyperdrives, you get your advanced manufacturing facilities, the energy refineries, the advanced assembler, stuff like that. But really impressive overall. Have to say, I'm really enjoying this title, and I think I'm actually going to continue for quite a bit longer, and I might as well record it while I'm at it, because I really think that the storyline that you make when playing this is really what gives it the depth that you want. And there's a lot of characters you can interact with. There's even data logs that you find from ships. You'll find sort of entries, and you can just get a better idea of what's going on in the world around you, and give you a little more grounding in the kind of in the environment in which you're active. So it's really cool. Really enjoying it, and I will add a little bit more later, and actually maybe piece together a nice story from my crew and work it out from here. I believe you can have multiple ships. I'm definitely going to have to expand the number of shuttles and mining drones that I have to sort of speed things up a little bit. I have very little self-defense. I actually have two energy cannons here, or energy turrets, but the problem is I don't have the ammo to actually feed them. So, I really have to work out the logistics, and I actually think I might want to restart this game just knowing a little better now. I think I've been at it for a few hours. But then again, you can see that there is a lot here, and just if I take, for example, the visible resources, I mean, this probably is not a full and inclusive list. I'm still discovering things as I go. So you do have a lot that you can actually learn, and look, your resource displays. I mean, this is like this is just to help the user deal with all the different resources that are in the game. But I mean, I haven't even gone in here and used this. So there are a lot of things that the developers have put in here to help people. Presumably at some point you can have fairly large crews, because you can actually have a filter on the number of visible crew members so you don't get overwhelmed. So you just get an idea of what the possibilities are, and the fact that you can have multiple ships, or that it appears you can have multiple ships based on the fact that I can just click right here to build a new ship. And I guess what you would do is you would just kind of bring it with you every time you jump from one system to another. Perhaps it means even that you could be salvaging in one sector and with half your crew, and then doing something in another. I know that you can have multiple away teams, for example, so if you have several shuttles, then you can take care of that. And then there's also something you have to do. So this ship actually is not really rigged for interstellar travel. As you can see here, I'm still in sort of the welcome to this game tutorial, and I'm at the point where I could do interstellar travel. The issue though is that I'm going to have to create sleep chambers for every single one of my crew, and you can see here that sleep chamber is going to suspend their bodies, sort of like either cryogenically freeze them or put them in stasis until you can actually get to your other destination, which in the vastness of space makes abundant sense. And as a fan of the Red Dwarf series, actually a real fan, a real junkie of it, to me this just makes perfect sense, along with frankly anything else sci-fi. A lot of this stuff kind of comes together. I think if you've seen even The Expanse or something, a lot of the stuff that you see here makes a lot of sense. And so what's really cool is that there's the combat aspect, but then there's also the sort of making this a living, breathing ship, which I think is really going to add to the replay value and make me come back again and again and again. So I think that's just a quick summary of what we've got within this game. So Space Haven, I would highly recommend that people check it out if they have an opportunity. If not, I honestly think you're missing something, because this is a really cool title. And I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this video. Maybe it's sort of inspired you to take a look. It is available on Steam. I believe there's some other locations as well. Check it out.